Welcome to the FrogHop Level Editor tutorial on switches and advanced properties. Switches are powerful tools and can be used to create some really dynamic levels. Let's start with some water and how we can use switches to control that water. So first, let's begin by opening up map 213 because this already has some water in it. Specifically, this level is unique because it has an oscillating water level. First, let's save this to another file so we don't mess up the example. You'll notice this object here with an arrow. This is from the Invisibles tile set. Placing this will create water across the whole map, covering up to the height it was placed at. But it also has another function, which is that the water will move up and down. The water bottom offset Y and the water top offset Y control the range that it covers relative to its starting position. You can see it moving up and down with the default settings here. Now you can fine tune these values if you want it to fluctuate more or less. I'm going to use multiples of 9 since that's how big the grid tiles are, but you can be precise down to the pixel if you want. When the water hits the boundary you have defined with the bottom and top properties, it does not change direction immediately. Instead, it gradually decelerates and then it accelerates in the other direction. This way it has a nice easing in and out. But you can set the acceleration really high if you want it to make sharp turns. The max speed, of course, lets you control how fast the water moves. That only leaves the create water property. The idea with this is that typically you want water to move up and down from the bottom of the map. So you want it to create new water objects and flood the level. However, in some situations, you might have predefined water in your level, and you want it to simply move that body of water without creating more beneath it as it moves up. Placing water tiles in a level with the oscillator will cause the existing water to move rather than covering the entire map. You can see here because I had the create water property on, it created a pillar of water when the water reached the bottom. Turning that off, the water will always be 3 tiles high, just as I created it in the level. There is no way to specify a specific portion of water for the oscillator. It always impacts the full map, so keep that in mind. Now let's move on to switches, which also impact all of the water in the map, regardless of whether you are using an oscillator or not. The up and down arrows will flood and drain the map respectively. By default, touching an up arrow will cause the water to rise to just below the top of the map. But you can adjust where it stops with the surface offset Y. If you have multiple bodies of water or different surface levels, all of the water will stop as soon as the topmost water tile reaches that point. So bear this in mind. The down arrow will move all water downwards and drain it until it is all off screen. By default, water will be destroyed as soon as it goes off screen. If you intend to have the water rise back up in the same formation later after draining, you'll want to turn this off. Alternatively, if there is no water remaining in a level and you hit the up arrow, this will cause the entire map to fill. I'll just wait for this to drain out. The four colored switches with dots can be used to adjust the water to a specific level. The default will stop just a bit above where the switch is located, but of course this can be configured as well. There is no difference between the different colors. All of them work the same. So the dots should be mainly used as a hint to the player for what order they should be hit in. You can use more than one of the same switch if you need to. The next few switches aren't all that special. This one reverses the flowing water, and this one reverses the direction of conveyor belts. The light switch will make the room dark until the player flips the switch in game, but you can also force the lights to be on by default. Remember that lights on has the side effect of making all water electric, which causes damage to the player when touched. This brings us to our final switches, the red and yellow buttons here. This is where your imagination can really go wild, as these buttons can move blocks in the level to wherever you desire, opening up tons of possibilities. Let's check out the Special Blocks tile set. Notice this mechanical looking block, which is typically used for this in the main game. This block and all the ones after it can be used with the red and yellow buttons. I'll refer to all of these as mechanical blocks, as they all work the same. To demonstrate this functionality, we'll take a look at the switches example in the demos folder, as it shows off some of what you can do. As the annotation says, these buttons are pressure activated by either the player or a push block. Once you've placed a mechanical block, you'll need to assign a switch to activate it. The easiest way to do so is to select the switch property and then click the arrow. This allows you to point to the switch object inside the level. You then will want to set the move X and move Y based on how you want the block to move after activating. As usual, you can move it left with a negative X or up with a negative Y. Each block can only be assigned a single switch, but the switch can, and usually does, activate more than one block at the same time. Over here we have some yellow switches. These are also pressure activated, but have a timer for when they deactivate instead of stopping immediately after pressure is removed. This door opens sort of like an outward garage door. This effect is achieved by having blocks move at different speeds. This one's 0.5, this one's 1, and this one's 1.5. Since the ones further down have to travel a longer distance, they move faster. If we change them all to be the same speed, the effect will look quite different. Note that you can place mechanical blocks off screen so you don't see them until the button is activated. This can be especially useful for making platforms on the sides of walls or lifts coming out from the floor, as you'll see here. You can even use mechanical blocks to carry the player from one section of the map to another. Get creative, and there are all kinds of interesting designs that are possible. This concludes the tutorial for creating levels with Frog Hop. I hope you found it useful and feel empowered to create your own exciting levels. There will be one more quick video to explain how you can package up and share your levels with others.